A Chinese AI company just made OpenAI and Google look foolish, and they did it by spending a fraction of what the American giants spent. Let me explain what DeepSeek just released and why Silicon Valley is panicking right now. DeepSeek is a Chinese artificial intelligence company that nobody was paying attention to until this week. On January 14th, they released DeepSeek R1, an open-source AI model that rivals OpenAI's O1 and Google's Gemini. And here's the kicker. They claim they built it for less than $6 million in compute costs. OpenAI reportedly spent over $100 million training O1. Google spent similar amounts on Gemini. DeepSeek did it for $6 million. That's not just incremental improvement. That's a completely different approach. So what makes DeepSeek R1 special? It's a reasoning model, similar to OpenAI's O1. These aren't your typical chatbots. They think through problems step by step before answering. They show their work, like a student solving a math problem on a whiteboard. This approach makes them dramatically better at complex tasks: coding, mathematics, scientific reasoning, logic puzzles, anything that requires multi-step thinking. DeepSeek didn't just match OpenAI's performance. On several benchmarks, they beat it. On the AIME math competition, which tests advanced high school mathematics, DeepSeek R1 scored 79%. And unlike OpenAI, DeepSeek made everything open source. You can download the model weights right now. You can run it on your own hardware. You can modify it. You can build businesses on top of it without paying licensing fees. This is exactly what the open-source AI community has been begging for, and a Chinese company delivered it before any American company would. Now let's talk about how they did this, because the technical details are fascinating. DeepSeek uses something called reinforcement learning with distillation. Basically, they trained a massive model using traditional methods, then compressed the knowledge into a smaller, more efficient model. Think of it like having a genius teach a very smart student. The student doesn't know everything the genius knows, but they know the important stuff and can access it way faster. They also used lower precision computing. Instead of using high precision floating point numbers for calculations, they used lower precision. This sounds risky because you lose accuracy, but DeepSeek found that for most AI tasks, the precision loss is negligible while the speed and cost savings are massive. It's like the difference between measuring something to the nearest millimeter versus the nearest nanometer. For most purposes, millimeter precision is fine, and they trained on fewer GPUs for less time. This has massive implications. If you can build state-of-the-art AI for single-digit millions instead of hundreds of millions, the barrier to entry collapses. Suddenly, universities can train competitive models. Startups can compete with Google. Countries without massive tech industries can develop their own AI capabilities. The American monopoly on cutting-edge AI breaks. Silicon Valley is reacting with a mix of admiration and alarm. Some AI researchers are praising DeepSeek's technical innovation. Yann LeCun, Meta's chief AI scientist, called it, quote, an important milestone in open AI research. Others are more cautious, pointing out that we don't have full details yet. How exactly did they achieve this efficiency? What trade-offs did they make? Are there hidden limitations? And then there's the geopolitical angle. DeepSeek is based in Hangzhou, China. The company was founded by Liang Wenfeng, a hedge fund manager who pivoted into AI. China has been investing heavily in artificial intelligence, seeing it as a strategic priority to rival U.S. technological dominance. DeepSeek's breakthrough suggests that investment is paying off. U.S. export controls have restricted China's access to advanced NVIDIA GPUs. The idea was to slow down Chinese AI development by cutting off access to the best hardware. But if DeepSeek can match or beat American models using less hardware, those export controls are pointless. China just proved they can do more with less. That's a strategic disaster for the U.S. There's also the open source question. OpenAI, despite the open in its name, hasn't released a truly open model in years. Everything is locked behind APIs. Google's Gemini is the same. Meta releases Llama models openly, but they're not quite at the cutting edge. DeepSeek releasing R1 as fully open source is a direct challenge. It says, we don't need to hoard our AI. We're confident enough to share it. This creates pressure on American companies. If China is releasing state-of-the-art models openly, how can OpenAI justify charging for access? How can Google keep Gemini locked down? The narrative that open-source AI is dangerous and needs to be controlled by responsible companies Starts to look self-serving when a Chinese company is willing to open everything up. But we should be skeptical too. DeepSeek's claims need verification. The $6 million number comes from their own statements, not independent audits. They might be excluding costs like salaries, infrastructure, or earlier failed experiments. The benchmarks they shared are impressive, but we need third-party testing, and we need to see the full technical paper explaining their methods. There are also questions about training data. Where did DeepSeek get the data to train this model? Chinese AI companies have been accused of scraping copyrighted content without permission, just like American companies. If DeepSeek used questionable data sources, that's a problem regardless of how efficient their training was. And what about censorship? Chinese AI models are subject to government censorship requirements. If you ask DeepSeek about Tiananmen Square or Taiwan independence, it will refuse to answer or give the official government line. That makes it less useful as a general-purpose AI, even if the underlying technology is impressive. Still, the core point stands. A Chinese company built a competitive reasoning model for a fraction of the cost American companies spent. That's either a sign that China's AI capabilities are advancing faster than we thought, or it's a sign that American companies are wasteful and inefficient. Probably both. Here's what happens next. Other companies will try to replicate DeepSeek's results. Researchers will dig into the model to understand exactly how it works. If the efficiency gains are real and reproducible, it could trigger a shift in how AI models are trained. Instead of brute force scaling, the focus moves to algorithmic efficiency. That would be great for the field overall, even if it's embarrassing for companies that spent hundreds of millions on less efficient approaches. It also accelerates the AI arms race between the US and China. If DeepSeek can do this, what else is China working on? Are there even better models in development that haven't been released? The US government is already nervous about losing AI leadership. This will intensify those fears. For regular people, the immediate impact is access. DeepSeek R1 is available now. You can use it. Developers can build apps on it. Students can experiment with it. That democratizes AI in a way that closed models don't. Whether that's good or bad depends on your perspective. More access means more innovation, but also more potential for misuse. My take? This is a wake-up call. American AI companies got complacent. They assumed throwing more money and GPUs at the problem was the only way forward. DeepSeek proved that's not true. Smarter algorithms beat bigger budgets. And open source beats closed when the technology is good enough. The AI landscape just got way more competitive. And that's ultimately good for everyone except the companies that were counting on a monopoly. What do you think? Is DeepSeek legit or is this overhyped? Should AI be open source or kept under strict control? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you want to stay on top of the AI revolution as it happens, hit that subscribe button. We're covering the biggest developments in artificial intelligence and technology. See you in the next one.